Last year saw the deaths of quite a few beloved and important figures from recent history, but none of them hit me quite as hard as the death of the pilot of Friendship 7. Here are 5 heroic things about John Glenn. Number 1, he was one of America's first astronauts. John Glenn was the last surviving member of the Mercury 7, the first Americans to ever fly in outer space. Glenn became the 5th human in space, the 3rd American, and the first American to orbit the Earth. When he returned from his mission, he was feted with a ticker tape parade in New York City. He was honored by the President of the United States, the whole Charles Lindbergh treatment. By most accounts, Glenn was a very humble person, but he must have appreciated all of the celebrations at least a little bit, particularly since he knew that while he was in space, there was no guarantee that he would ever make it back at all. Number 2, he kept his cool during a spaceflight plagued by malfunctions. Glenn piloted his Friendship 7 spacecraft through 3 Earth orbits. It could have been longer. His orbital trajectory would have kept him up for at least 7 orbits, and perhaps for quite a few more, but near the end of the first orbit, Glenn reported that his automatic control system wasn't working, which forced him to manually control the spacecraft for most of the rest of the mission, which consumed far more fuel than had been originally planned. Then, during the second orbit, flight controllers noticed a warning light which indicated that Glenn's heat shield was possibly loose, which would have been a life-threatening complication. Glenn, of course, returned safely, and it was later determined that the warning light was due to a faulty sensor. The heat shield was fine, and I suppose we can say that all's well that ends well. Except, Glenn's spaceflight was not an ending. It was a new beginning. Number 3, he energized America's flagging space program. Friendship 7 flew 10 months after cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space, and 6 months after cosmonaut German Titov spent an entire day in space. Glenn's successful flight renewed American confidence in NASA and made John Kennedy's goal of reaching the moon by the end of the 60s seem attainable. Glenn also inspired an entire generation of Americans to follow in his footsteps. Now, there is an unfortunate side note to this bit of the story. In July 1962, Glenn testified before a congressional committee and said that he didn't believe women should be included in the astronaut program. And indeed, it was another 21 years before an American woman flew in space. I don't think that this should overshadow the rest of John Glenn's accomplishments, but nor do I think that it should be disregarded. There are no perfect heroes, folks. Not even John Glenn. Number 4, as a senator, he fought against nuclear proliferation. In 1974, Glenn was elected to the U.S. Senate from his home state of Ohio, an office which he would occupy until 1999. Arguably, the crowning achievement of his senatorial career was the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Act of 1978, which he helped to write. It was the first American law designed to control the spread of nuclear weapons. And how fitting that such a piece of legislation should be authored by one of the first people to ever see Earth from outer space, as it truly is, undivided by political boundaries. And Senator Glenn wasn't finished. Number 5, he returned to space at age 77. In 1998, John Glenn returned to space as a payload specialist aboard Space Shuttle Discovery. His Friendship 7 flight in 1962 had lasted less than 5 hours. His Space Shuttle flight lasted nearly 9 days. Glenn became the oldest person to fly in space and the 3rd sitting member of Congress to do so. And just as he had done 36 years before, he drew the eyes of the world to NASA's space program. Here was one of the best of us, the personification of the right stuff, an astronaut, a statesperson, a hero. To paraphrase Hamlet, we shall not look upon his like again. Godspeed, John Glenn. The hardest part's picking only 5. Catch you next time. Hey folks, if you found this video worthwhile, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, please consider helping me to make more videos like this one by supporting this channel through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron. Thanks for watching.